There is no single way to come to Taiwan and settle here. Some people arrive as expats and diplomats. Others are drawn as students and English teachers. Taipei-based Filipino writer Leo Maliksi first arrived Taiwan in the 1980s and in the process witnessed the many changes the island underwent over the decades. He tells us his story in this week's edition of Taiwan Talk.
It was July of 1985. It was summer. I'll never forget it. It was hot. We took the bus. There was no MRT then. And we took the bus to the bus station. We took a taxi. And I told myself, this is hot. It's like the Philippines, but not really. So we got to a rented apartment on Shaoxing Peijie. It was a small street. And there were lots of scooters and motorcycles. And I said, this is very special, full of dynamism, of action and noise. And there was no air conditioning. We were sleeping on sofa beds, right? And I looked out the window, and I saw across from the street a motorcycle and scooter rental shop, all right? And it was evening. I could see that they were still doing business at 10 p.m. That was Taiwan, right? People were so alive and with pent-up energy, doing business, engaged in their occupation or work. I could feel it. This is not the Philippines. If the Philippines had developed, it would have been like this. I was telling myself, right? And then I met some people. Wow, very friendly and warm people. Okay, but I could only nod my head and smile because I didn't speak the language.
When did you join the China News?
Oh, that was 1993. And I was very happy. I was elated, if I may use the word, because I realized when I didn't have any story to write, the city editor would give me 3 or 4 articles from Lian Hepao, from the Chinese newspaper, to translate. All right, so I had to use Cassell's Landbridge Dictionary. And I would look at the Chinese and translate to English. And I was telling myself, wow, this is fantastic. I'm learning Chinese and getting paid for it. What more can I ask? Right? So I stayed, right? So this is my thing. I mean, I was sent here to learn Chinese, to be one with the Taiwanese, and they're making me do it as a job. So I stayed. My Chinese, the pace, the learning curve, wow, went up because I had to translate, and I had to turn in the translation to be published by 7 p.m. But then they soon moved me to the supplements department. Supplements department is advertorial writing, we call it. You interview companies as a giveaway because they would put out an ad on our newspaper, and we're going to interview you and write about your company and yourself, how you founded it, how it's been going, your markets. And I was doing that, supplements. But that enabled me to go out and interview and use my Chinese. So I would do the interviews in Chinese. And I was happy because I was exposed to what I had read about, that what I read were the backbone of the Taiwanese economic miracle, the entrepreneurs, the SMEs. I would interview them. And I tried to speak English in my broken Chinese. We would communicate. They would sometimes get an interpreter to sit beside them, and I would write down what they would say. So I was gradually getting more adapted to Taiwan and undergoing what I would call a transformation. Okay? And I saw Taiwan as also undergoing a transformation like myself into something different. And this is what I can see right now.
Okay, let's talk about that transformation because there are quite a few people in Taiwan that have witnessed changes, right? But you've been here since 1985 and you're still here now. Talk to me about what you saw then and what you see now. Just that whole metamorphosis, for lack of a better word. What did that look like?
Oh, well, as I was teaching English. I had gone to the homes of some of my students 2 or 3 times. I remember one of them would invite us and his classmates to his house in Tanshui. And I would go there. I went there, and then he played music, did some dancing, and then we ate together 2 or 3 times. And then one day, this is an experience I'll never forget, he took us to a cemetery. Mm-hmm. And in the Philippines, there is no, as far as I know, no taboo about taking photos in the cemetery. Here you can't do that. I was not taking photos of the graves. I was taking photos of the scenery that I could see from the cemetery. But one of my students told me, "Teacher, I don't think you should do that. Okay, we don't take photos in the cemetery." "Oh, okay, sorry, I said that." Right? So there's this respect for tradition that I could already see then. And the willingness to welcome people to their homes. As I said, I went 2 or 3 times to the homes of some of my students. I don't see that now. I perceive a certain hesitance on the part of the Taiwanese to welcome people to their homes, either because they have no time to, tidy up a bit, or it has not become a habit from that time when I came, right? But the dynamism also has undergone a transformation with the economic crisis, 1997, because Taiwan is export-oriented. And I could discern a certain pride. But like the economic crisis, the global economic crisis that Taiwan went through, sort of awakened them. We are not really flawless nor perfect. Our economic growth could also slacken, slow down, and affecting the lifestyle of the people. But then, in my perception, that was also a maturing process, right? No longer the over self-confident of the future kind of thing. It's that, there can be snags on this pathway to growth. And I think they transformed, they turned into a better quality of life. It's still there, but a different quality of development, right? And largely because of the semiconductor industry of the country. Yeah.
What about the communications scene in Taiwan? I mean, when you came in the 1980s, it was still very much martial law orientated. Mm-hmm. Everyone was getting their information from just one place. And that gradually loosened and it gradually changed.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Oh, I think it was something inevitable because of the advent of the Internet. Right? As I said, my translation then was using Landbridge Cassell Dictionary to translate from Chinese to English. But now you have ChatGPT, Google Translate, DeepL, and the growth of the Internet sort of prevented, I think, any group of people, any community, any country from being isolated in itself. I think now the control is over the ability to access the Internet, right? But in terms of ideas, you cannot prevent that anymore. The media, and this is a change or a shift in the Taiwanese media, has gone more to cyberspace, to the Internet. Is that good? I think so. Depends on how you use it.
Do you think that the loosening of rules within society has made it easier for that to grow or for that to happen?
Yes, of course, definitely. In the sense that you give free rein to the freedom of the people. Freedom is a gift. Everyone is free. You decide. Nobody forces you. No one should force you to follow a certain kind of thinking or belief. You decide. Ultimately, each person is free. So freedom is a value that every person should enjoy.
You're listening to Taiwan-based Filipino writer Leo Maliksi. And that does it for this week's edition of Taiwan Talk. I'm Hope Ngo. You can catch this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download your podcasts. Thank you for tuning in.